Hello. All right. This is certainly an interesting time, so to say the very least. But hello, Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Lightning Storm, the series where lightning always strikes twice as we talk about everything that's happened in the past week for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. So I want to say this is only the second time, I think, that I've ever done a live recording of this show. And that's kind of a big deal. The only other time that I did this before was, if I remember correctly, episode 100, because that was kind of a big deal. And that was also kind of like right after my big 2021 like leak and everything like that, or in 2021 for 2022. And what a time that was. Such a long time ago. But essentially, this week, I would say, is probably arguably I don't know, the most important week of Lightning Collection news we've probably ever had since its inception, back on day one, August 18th, 2018. So this is going to be interesting. So we have 90 people watching right now. So I'm not going to be able to shout out everybody in the comments, and I apologize for that. And basically, here's how we're going to do things here today. So first of all, it's incredibly hot in this room. So my big fans are on, and usually I turn them off for recordings. I hope that they're not coming through. Same thing with like the fans from my hard drives and stuff like that. It's just been a lot. I've also done a lot of talking. For anybody who is a fan of that's not the old one, Geek Each Week, RR the Streets from the past, Geek Each Week from the current present time. There was a live show last night that went for over 3 hours until 1 o'clock in the morning, which was 11 hours ago. And then I did get some sleep. I saw Trekkie-B47, Eric was in the chat at some point. He was on the call last night. He can attest to how long and late that we were up and that we were talking and having a great time. I'm in a great mood. I really am. I'm also in not a good mood at all. To be fully transparent, that's the whole purpose of this episode being live, is that this has been single-handedly, and I think I'm pretty confident in saying this, the worst week of my life and the best one of my life at the same time. And there's been so many different reasons for that. There's so many things that I wish that I could share with you guys that is just personal matters that I cannot share. Some of it I literally cannot share. Some of it I just wish not to share. So it's going to be a time. I see a lot of friends in the chat. Like I said, I'm not really going to shout anybody out because I know I'm going to miss people. And the point of this one, there's 125 people watching. So the point of this stream, I knew this was going to happen. So Daniel Pika, $2 super chat. Hey, Josh, good luck and prosper with everything. Thank you. And basically, the way that this is going to work today is going to be really interesting to me. At least I think this would be kind of fun to do this. So there's a lot to cover. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of people panicking. There's a lot of people, almost kind of going for almost like a grief period because, I put out this episode last weekend that's the end of the Lightning Collection in big all caps with parentheses for now. And it's clickbait. Of course, it is. I'm going to admit to that. But there's some really interesting and big things that happened, even though Hasbro did not go to Comic-Con specifically for Power Rangers, at all. In fact, that's the least of what they did. We have a lot from Comic-Con to talk about nonetheless. So the way this is going to work today is I'm going to just pretend that this is just basically a recording of Lightning Storm. I'm just going to go through the stories. I have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to be pulling up, so that way it's basically like I'm editing this as I go. And then when the stream is over, I'm going to be making this an unlisted live stream. And this stream can go as long as we want, as long as I feel like, until I've covered all the pieces of news and I can answer comments in the chat and we can discuss what happened this past week, be as transparent as I can be. There are some things that I cannot talk about and will not talk about, but we shall see where we get from this. And then basically once we're done, I'm going to unlist the live stream. I'm going to take the file. I'm going to edit it into basically a more traditional episode of Lightning Storm with the graphics, with the music, with the Patreon end scroll, all that kind of stuff. And that will be released tonight. I'm hoping around 6-ish, probably more like 8-ish. So 8-ish, probably like the latest. And that will just be like a regular Lightning Storm that you guys just got to participate in the recording of, to be as interactive as possible. So there's that. So with us being 5 minutes into this recording, another thing that I do want to say is that I have privated my main Twitter. And that is just because this week has been way too overwhelming for a number of different reasons. I'm going through a bunch of personal things right now that I am not going to discuss. Like I said earlier, I have reached out to friends. They know who they are. They are helping me. They mean the world to me, and I'm getting the help that I need. But that is not for this channel, and that is not for any of this. And so we're going to leave it at that. My Twitter is going to remain private for a little bit. just because that's what I feel like I need to do and what's best for me. But Lightning Fig PR, wide open. That belongs to the community. That belongs to the public. And that is where I'm going to continue to post about the Lightning Collection until I literally just like cannot anymore. So without further ado, here we go. So I already did the intro, but in case that wasn't a good clip of it, and you're tuning in right now because we have 160 people watching now. Here we go in 3, 2. Hello, Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Lightning Storm, the series where lightning always strikes twice as we talk about everything that has happened in the past week for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. And it was a crazy one. It was a very, very, very interesting week here. Some unprecedented things happened in the Lightning Collection, and not even just for Lightning Collection, for Hasbro as like a company. They don't ever do something like this, essentially. So we have a lot to talk about. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it. And with that, we have a lot to talk about. So I think I'm going to do this setup. I think I like this one better. And I have my webcam recording this, so that way I can get rid of the little Josh at Lightning Fig PR banner. And also that way, because I know my internet's going to probably crap out throughout this thing. It's probably going to do that even more, especially now that I've said it. So now that that's, out in the world, I just want to make sure to kind of avoid that. So that way I can still put out a pretty decent looking Lightning Storm at the end of the day when we're done with this here. But lots to cover. I've been talking a ton, so I'm going to probably break for water and such like that. But here we go. So the first story that we have for this week is, let me go to it. So first up for this week here, we have San Diego Comic-Con, which I really didn't think was going to have a lot of Lightning Collection news for it at all, because, Hasbro basically was like, yeah, we're not going to be there for Power Rangers. So they released their whole panel schedule, and I don't have a picture of that up there right now. But it showed, and we're not halfway through. We're about halfway through Comic-Con, kind of, because like Wednesday, well, no, we are, because Wednesday was preview night, and then we had Thursday and Friday, so we are halfway through it. And we had, so far, they've already had their Marvel panel. I believe last night was their Star Wars panel, where they revealed the HasLab Ghost, which is up right now on Hasbro Pulse. It has already hit more than half of its needed backers, so that seems to be doing well for them. They already had their Transformers panel, if last night's Geek Each Week news is any indication, because we talked about Transformers for a very long time. What else we have? I know that today is their G.I. Joe panel, which I'm very excited for, because that brand is really, really important to me. I'm very excited about that. And they've announced some couple of things here and there. But before the convention, and this is what I talked about in episode 217 on Wednesday, I wanted to put out that kind of emergency sort of Comic-Con prep episode where basically I just kind of dived into, hey, if you're going to the convention, Selfie Series is going to be there. It's going to get some updates. There's going to be this there. You might be able to pre-order this, all that kind of stuff. And now that the convention has actually happened, we can see all that. So first up, we have these absolutely gorgeous images here. So these were posted, really, really nice, by Toku Chris over at Toku Nation, or I guess now Geek with Chris. I'm still trying to get used to that. So the first thing we have to talk about here is these beautiful pictures. And basically there's this display cabinet at the Hasbro booth for like all their different brands. And they have a Lightning Collection one, but it's nothing new. Kind of like there's nothing new in terms of like unannounced product. Everything that's in there was something primarily that was announced at the April 17th fan stream, which at this current point in time is still the only or the last time that we had a fan stream, and the only one that we have on the horizon. It's to be assumed and to be expected, and fingers crossed, that we get something like that in August for Power Month, week, day, whatever they're going to do this year, because we don't have much for them to even talk about for the 30th anniversary, which they really picked one, interesting year to decide to not kill the line, but put it on life support. So it's definitely very interesting. But Wave 15 here, we've seen it multiple times. It's been, already released in Malaysia. It's already been released in Singapore. You can buy it actually right now on AliExpress from China. There's actually a lot of different stores that actually just have it in stock. So Wave 15, yeah, it's like technically not out yet, but like you kind of can get it, so like it's not that exciting. But it does look fantastic, as I've been seeing people in the chat here say Wave 15, beautiful wave, one of my favorites for sure. And I'm very excited to get it whenever I can either get it from AliExpress or I can get it from Pulse, Amazon, anywhere really, which I still think will be before October. its current listed release dates, because we also have release dates changing for the things that we're about to talk about. And that's where Deluxe Wave 4 comes into things here. So Deluxe Wave 4, really happy. I was never worried about anything not, something that we had not seen released somewhere already. I wasn't worried about any outstanding pre-orders, like not making it to production in time for the whole hiatus that we're going to talk about. But I was a little bit worried for Deluxe Wave 4, since they just were like kind of the only things that we hadn't seen, like out in China or out in Malaysia or something like that. Like we've seen that for the Remastered and for Wave 15. But thankfully, Deluxe Wave 4 is not canceled. It's right here on display at the convention. It looks absolutely excellent. I think that Rita head sculpt is actually a vast improvement over the original Wedding 2-pack from 2020. I'm still so happy that we finally get the gold dress just in time for the line to go on a break. I love the swappable faces. I think that would have been a great opportunity, and maybe it still could be in the future, for them to re-release this figure as like a Robo Rita from Once and Always. I feel like that's got to have been the inspiration behind that, or some part of the functionality behind that, hopefully, but yet to be seen. And the same thing can be said with Minotaur. I think Minotaur looks also really good, and just based off of kind of how they have these guys posed and what they have them posed against and like with and everything in the pictures that we're getting in the angles from the photo case, from the display case, is that this one doesn't look like too terribly off in scale in terms of like, being not towering over the Rangers like all the monster figures typically do. And so it's, like I said, it's hard to tell from the angles and everything. It's probably still going to be a pretty big figure, like it's, not really supposed to be, but it's going to be. But I think here, if you compose it right, and we've seen some pictures in the past of, promotional shots of Minotaur fighting the remastered Mighty Morphin Rangers, I think it does look pretty solid in most angles. You just kind of have to know how to pose it. But good news is for both of these figures is that if you were worried about either one of them not making it out, because they were listed as, I think, like September or October even release dates for like pre-orders in the US, they moved up. So they moved up on Hasbro Pulse to, I believe that was August, is it 2nd? Yeah, August 2nd. So that is, I believe that is next Friday? Yeah, not this Friday, but like the following Friday or something like that. Nope, that's not true. Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, I think. So we have yeah, that sounds right. I'm looking at this calendar and I can't even read it. But yes, August 2nd is a Wednesday, and that is when Deluxe Wave 4 is now listed. Thank you. So, August 2nd is your birthday. Happy early birthday. That's a perfect release date then. So yes, so I'm really happy that Hasbro Pulse has moved these up. However, Hasbro Pulse UK pushed them back. So they pushed them to, I think, to like September 4th. I think that's where I was getting a 4 in there somewhere. So definitely kind of interesting because, especially recently in the past, the UK, especially Hasbro Pulse UK, has kind of been the place that these figures just release early. And now it's like, nah, we're getting them like a month later. They actually delay something. So I guess that's how this feels. But, in the past, you guys got nothing sometimes that we would get. So, like, it's only fair. And yeah, so that's the big kind of thing with Deluxe Wave 4. But the last thing with it, though, and as was just said in the chat, Deluxe Wave 4 also got its dates, not even its dates moved up, but they actually just started processing the orders from Big Bad Toy Store, which, if that makes sense, that's typically the way that this format usually goes, is Pulse will send out some emails and Big Bad Toy Store is usually first. So I'm kind of conflicted because, like, I really do want these figures, like, right now, but I still got to pay for my Aliens. I still got to pay for my Remastered. I still got to pay for a bunch of other stuff. And so I'm like, do I have money for Deluxe Wave 4? Do I have time for Deluxe Wave 4? No, not really, because I have big plans for August that I'm very, very soon going to be announcing to everybody. Actually, I'm going to be teasing it at the end of this episode of Lightning Storm, so stay tuned for that. But, like, basically, it's going to be an interesting time in August, so I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to be able to do all these reviews, and there's just everything dropping at once. It's also kind of bittersweet because since we now know that this is going to be, also, I don't know why I put Token Nation as the credit for this tweet as well, for this picture, but shout out to Token Nation. Chris is doing a great job over there this weekend. But basically, like, there's not that much left for them to release, so, like, them kind of getting everything out the door so quickly in a way is kind of disappointing because it's like, well, if we blast through it all, what are we going to have to look forward to for a long period of time? Because we don't know how long this 2024 hiatus is going to last necessarily. We kind of have like an idea, but it's just it's a tricky thing. And so it's kind of, like I said, sort of bittersweet. But I think that will kind of be the end of Deluxe Wave 4. And the next thing we have from also Comic-Con as well is Remastered. So the Remastered figures are on display, the whole team of them at San Diego Comic-Con in the photo booth, in the display case. And I gotta say, a shout out to whatever, I don't know what camera he's using, I don't know if it's his phone, but whatever camera that Chris is using to take these photos is gorgeous. I'm not even showing you the best one. Go to Toku Nation's website. I'm going to be linking that in the description below to all of these picture galleries. But if you haven't seen these pictures, he got these close-ups on the helmets and stuff like that. It makes these figures, in my opinion, look better than they do when you have them in hand. Like, especially for yellow and blue, because I have yellow and blue. I've already reviewed them on the channel. And like they're good. I think they are easily the best version of these figures that the Lightning Collection has made, you know, bar none. But like I look at this picture and I go, you know what? I think that this looks better in this photo than it does when I'm holding it in real life. Like he got some gorgeous, gorgeous shots. So huge, huge shout out to Chris. But here in the picture, I know somebody was talking about like I think it was Lightning Collector 2021 was talking about like the helmet on green was kind of weird or off in this picture or in this prototype, but we know it's fine in the final version because these are already out in China. I don't know. It was kind of weird. It was kind of confusing. But what was also kind of weird and confusing was Remastered Black. So in my episode on Wednesday for Remastered Black, I talked about how they had changed that Entertainment Earth pre-order code or pre-order hint. It's from basically July 26th, which would have been this upcoming Wednesday, Tuesday, you know, basically one of the days after the convention as we're kind of wrapping some things down. I kind of just calmed down a little bit, wrapping things up. They basically essentially said exactly that Remastered Black was going to go up for pre-order on July 26th. And then they deleted that and they changed it to, oh no, it's actually going to be preview night at Comic-Con on Wednesday, July 19th. And I'm like, that's okay. That's kind of interesting. And then that's exactly what happened on, I believe it was Monday. They put out the press release for Comic-Con, which officially confirmed that there was no Hasbro panel at the convention except for the Boom Studios panel, which was hosted by my buddy Joe from the Illuminati. He got to moderate that panel. And it also would have been a perfect time for Hasbro to reveal the Omega Ranger 4-pack that's been floating around on the internet for 2 weeks, but they did not. They revealed a bunch of new comic series and a bunch of comic information. And last year, during a comic panel at Comic-Con, which also last year was the only official Hasbro-sponsored panel at the event, they revealed Metallic White, who just went up in stock on Hasbro Pulse that night as sort of a Boom Studios figure. It's sort of comic-inspired, and that kind of would have been a perfect scenario here again for the Omegas because that set's been in U.S. ports in the U.S. warehouses since May. So it's not like it's on the way still. I don't know if it's actually, I guess, specifically in Pulse's warehouses, but it's in the U.S. ports at the least. So they could have probably finagled it to be ready in time, but at the same time, they're also probably holding off on it because they know they only have less than 10 releases left anyway. So it's tricky. It's so frustrating. And like I said earlier, I think a great way to sum it up is just bittersweet. It's just all very bittersweet. But what was also confusing is that like you can't get remastered, or you can't get the Omegas here in time, right? But Remastered Black, apparently you can. So they made it very confusing in the press release where they're like, you're going to be able to get first dibs at Remastered Black at the Entertainment Earth booth at Comic-Con. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And at the same time, I was like, Remastered Black totally would be able to be there in person, but I would also not be surprised if it was just Entertainment Earth gets the pre-order early and that everybody else would have them later. And they were not really ever being very clear on if the booth was going to have them like there to physically purchase or not, or if it was just going to be early pre-orders like they're doing for the Hasbro exclusives themselves on Pulse. Well, then it turns out, so I was kind of sitting there on Wednesday night and I really still didn't know the answer. And I get a DM and a text of some pictures which I will be putting, I forgot to include them, but I will be putting it in the edited version of this right now. And in that, basically, I showed, or in the graphic, it showed that the things that they were selling at the booth, one of them included Remastered Black. It was being sold there and is being sold there for $37. So about a $4 or $5-ish markup. And so, yeah, you can just get it there and take it home with you. Oh, there's another picture. But there you go. So you can just buy it. You can just buy Remastered Black right now. It's a pre-order only on Entertainment Earth. I think it is still only on Entertainment Earth. There are some other sites, like I think Nerdzoic posted some pre-orders of this. And I think that Pulse is supposed to, but I think that they're waiting for the end of the convention to happen. And I think there was some UK fan channel retailers that also posted it. So I don't know if all those retailers were really supposed to do that. But Remastered Black is only up for pre-order online. But if you're at the event, you can buy it in person. And it has a sticker in the corner that says Entertainment Earth San Diego Comic-Con debut. And you also get, and I didn't know this either, you get a little 30th anniversary Power Rangers pin. So craziness. It's just there. Like, you can just go up to the booth, you can just buy it and walk away with Remastered Black, even though it's on pre-order everywhere else. So like, that's crazy to me that you can just do that. And also, I want to say in this segment right now, I believe that he doesn't mind me if I say this, but huge MCU Collector 24. He's a big name in the Marvel review community. The bad one for me, so he was able to hook me up with one of them from the convention. Hello. Oh my gosh. Wow, that was weird. I didn't even know that I could actually come back from that. I thought that if I died, that the stream died. But no, we're back somehow. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, the MMPR news is so shocking. Josh has fallen. Starscream now leads. So they didn't want you to know about Black Ranger. Yeah, so I'm so sorry about that, guys. Tyler, he struck once. Yeah, see, they knew what we were talking about. They knew what we were about to get into, because we're about to get into the real juicy stuff for the week. And yeah, I knew that was going to happen. I did not know that the internet was going to completely crap out, but here we go. So bottom line, what I was trying to say, I guess he heard me, was that MCU Collector 24, huge thanks to him for hooking me up with Remastered Black. So due to the fact that I didn't even know that this was going to have the little sticker in the corner and the little pin, you know how I am, I definitely would have wanted that, because I had no idea that the sticker was going to be there. And like, if I would have just bought this off of Pulse or something, I mean, I would have seen a picture of this eventually, but having not known that the sticker was going to be there, if I got mine and found out that there was one with a sticker, you know what I would have had to do. So I'm so happy that he hooked up with that. I'm hoping, he said he'd be able to ship it out on Monday, so I'm hoping to have this by like mid next week ish, and I should be able to actually have a review of it out next weekend. I'm shooting for that to be my July 30th video. So stay tuned for that. I'm trying to make that be my July 30th video. But yeah, so, and yes, as Eric just pointed out, he just found the pin on eBay. It has the MMPR helmets on the bottom of the logo. It looks very nice. It looks very similar to the one that is being included with the Boom Studios Kickstarter from a couple months ago. So, and as I said, when this becomes a when this becomes an edited Lightning Storm tonight, if the recording actually saved during the crash there, I'm going to be including a picture of that pin. So he did give me the pin as well, I believe so. So that's it for Remastered Black. And that's so that brings us to Selfie Series. And like, this is Selfie Series right here is going to be something that is going to be stressing me out for the entirety of today, the day that I'm recording this episode. And maybe by the end of tonight, I'll feel better about this. We shall see. But speaking of Lightning Collection completionist sakes, this is going to be a royal pain. So what they announced on Monday alongside Remastered Black being at EE was that there was going to be a updated Selfie Series, kind of a Selfie Series sort of 2.0, if you will. And I talked about that on Wednesday in my video. And oh my gosh, this is such a mess. So, and also I'm trying to realize, did the news come out? The news was on Monday, right? And I just talked about it on a Wednesday, because this week has been so weird. But anyway, what is so crazy to me is that they are sort of relaunching Selfie Series in where you can do it at the Hasbro booth at Comic-Con. And if you do that there, you're going to get your figure shipped to you with a special sleeve. You can see this shiny sleeve, which we'll get a better picture of in the next picture. There's this shiny sleeve and these stands. And as you can see here, the stands are all basically branded towards the brand that they're from. So there's like a specific Mighty Morphin Red coin stand, a Mighty Morphin Pink, and a Mighty Morphin Black, the 3 different options that Selfie Series currently offers. If you know anything about this channel, I have all 3 versions of the Selfie Series figure thus far. I have red, I have black, I have pink. I guess I do kind of definitely regret buying those because they did this, and I knew this was going to happen someday, that they were going to update it with glasses and beards and stuff like that, because people kept requesting that. And that's the big theme with this update, is that going forward, you can get glasses with your Selfie Series figure, you can get different beard options, a bunch of other facial hair options, and different hair options in general. And so you're going to be able to get a lot better of a figure. And of course, if you were buying into Selfie Series early on, you're always going to be sort of the guinea pigs for the line, sort of, you're always going to get the worst ones of these just by being an early adopter. And what's really, really frustrating to me is that you can't just walk up to the Hasbro booth and do this at Comic-Con. You have to actually plan like an invitation, like scheduled time for it. So I have some friends that are on the floor at Comic-Con today, or will be later on today, because I'm not sure exactly when the doors open. But when they're on the floor today, they are meeting with Hasbro to do this. And I have offered them, I said, here's the amount of money that I have set aside right now on the table. I will cover your cost of Selfie Series figures and more. And I also let you keep the figures. I don't care about the figures. I don't need the figures. I just need those 3 stands and at least one of those sleeves, because the boxes, I think, are the exact same. But the problem is with this is that, is this going to be exclusive to San Diego Comic-Con, or is there going to be a second opportunity for me to do this, and I'm about to spend a lot of money this weekend for no reason? Yeah, probably. So going to the next slide here. This, I think this was a picture that was a thumbnail or something for some sort of Pulse thing. I saw it was being shared around on Twitter by Morgan from Ranger Board. And basically, so he summed it up pretty perfectly, honestly, that this was kind of an indicative picture of Power Rangers' relationship with Hasbro in general. And I'm probably going to crop this out, and it's going to be in the thumbnail for today, because he's holding the red Tyrannosaurus coin stand upside down. And he's holding a figure that you probably already have that you're selling a variant of technically. So I don't know. It's kind of a good analogy in my opinion, especially just this upside down power coin. It really just kind of speaks volumes in my opinion. It's a good little allegory symbol or whatever you want to call it. Fun times. But anyway, this is a good look at this. And you can see the little stand. It looks like just kind of like a little 3D printed stand or something, which is really ironic when we get to a video that I posted earlier this week that I'm going to be talking about. I had no idea. I had no idea that there was going to be something official with Hasbro with figure stands, and I posted something about Hasbro figure stands that were fan made. That was just such a weird coincidence. I swear I had no idea when I did that. But you can see this box, the sleeve here is with the exclusive sleeve, but it says 2023 convention exclusive. And basically that one is the thing that's making me think this is not going to just be a Comic-Con, because if it's 2023 convention exclusive, that could be both PulseCon and Comic-Con. And they did announce that PulseCon is officially coming back this year, to probably nobody's surprise. But we're going to have to talk about that very soon once we get into everything else. So Selfie Series, this is what's going on at Comic-Con with that. And it's going to be a pain. And I'm not going to want to wait until PulseCon, because I just don't know if for sure if they're going to be at PulseCon, even though I think they probably will be available for people there, at least for Pulse Premium members or something like that. I have really no doubts about that, especially since they said that if you're doing this at the convention, you're not going to get the figures until October anyway, and that's when PulseCon is, or actually it's after that, because PulseCon is September 22nd, and we're going to be talking about that very soon, because I just saw it asked in the chat. So yeah, September 22nd. So moving on from that, I think that was the end of our Comic-Con discussion, which only took a half an hour. So we did it. The least long discussion part, I guess, of today is done. So I just saw some people are joining the chat right now, which is perfect, because we're about to get into the real meat of this episode. But basically, for those that are just showing up, I just finished recapping the Comic-Con stuff, which is just some updates on Remastered Black, some shipment changes and what they have in the display case for Wave 15, Deluxe Wave 4, and the Remastered, and also the fact that Selfie Series is going through this whole evolution thing and all that kind of stuff. Remastered Black is at the EE booth, all that kind of thing. And as I said earlier, and I'm going to say it again, when this live stream is over, this is going to be archived as an unlisted live stream. And then I'm going to be taking that unlisted live stream and I'm going to be chopping it up into a fully edited, more polished lightning storm that's going to be going up with also video footage that I'm recording off to the side that is not all glitchy and, you know, dropping internet quality. And that will be released tonight, probably around 8 o'clock. So there we go. Okay, so this is really where the community is going to drive this. So for the entire rest of this video is basically just the whole reason why I'm doing this live in the first place. And that is that there was some crazy stuff that went down last week. I want to address the video itself. I want to address the backlash to it. And I want to address the response to it. And then I want to respond to the response, basically. And then I want to be more transparent and tell you guys exactly what's going on as far as I have been aware. Because let me tell you this. And I'll start with this. This is insane to me. So I had, and I said this last week, and for this, I think I'm going to go ahead and go big screen for a second. So I had, and my hair is a mess because it is so hot in this room. I apologize. So leading into last week's episode of Lightning Storm, I knew it was going to be a very decisive episode. I knew that it was going to be a very, you know, backlash heavy, you know, people were going to be talking about it. I knew I kind of wanted to clickbait it. I know that it was clickbait with the end of the Lightning Collection, but I tried to make it clear from the thumbnail a little bit and from the kind of in the title that it was not a direct cancellation. And I think somebody put it, and I apologize that I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but there was one person on Twitter I know in particular, and their picture will be up on screen in the edited version of this. And basically, they summed it up perfectly, where they said, I don't believe that I don't believe that people are really listening to what Josh said specifically. And then they quoted me saying how I have not heard from any of my sources that the line has been outright canceled. I've just been told that it's on a break or some version of that, hiatus, on ice, gap year, redevelopment, any version of the word pause. That's what I heard. And I said, looking up to the bright side, not a single one of my sources said, oh yeah, that line, it's done. It's canceled. It's never coming back. And I was like, that's great. That's very optimistic. But if you know how those terms work in like the business world, especially with toys and especially with Hasbro toy lines, when that happens and you don't hear anything about it for a long period of time, it's very easy for hiatus to also just mean cancellation. For that to just mean, oh yeah, no, we're done. Like, you know, one little thing can change that to go, well, that didn't work out. We didn't redevelop it. You know, we tried developing it. It didn't work. You know, we tried to come back from a break. We tried to restart it. We tried whatever it may be, and it didn't work. So we're done. You know, it basically means that, you know, the way I always compared it to people, to kind of be an analogy is like with television shows, right? So basically, you know, when you're waiting for a show to get canceled or renewed, sometimes it's on the bubble. That's exactly what's happening with the Lightning Collection. It's on the bubble right now. It'd be so easy for it to get renewed, and it'd be so easy for it to be canceled as well. And that's where it was just a really interesting thing where I wanted to make sure that I approached this as rational as possible. And I will say this, like, I'm not doing this video live because, like, you know, I feel like I have to explain myself or like apologize or anything like that, because that's not how I feel. I just wanted to do this live because I saw a lot of people were genuinely confused. And they were genuinely not understanding what was going on when people were posting like, I'm hearing that the line is dead. You know, are the rumors true? Can they confirm this? Is Hasbro going to say something? And I think the thing that was really, really annoying to me, and that was just really kind of not unexpected to see in any regard, but just very frustrating to deal with this week, and it did not contribute to me having much of a good week whatsoever. And it's to my own fault. I could have just not looked at this stuff. But it's the fact that basically, like, they would never respond. That's not how this works. However, if you make a little bit of enough of a stir, sometimes you have to force them to do so. And so the reason why I also want to do this live, as I go back to this setup, is that these are some comments that I wanted to point out in particular. And there was a lot. I got over 300 comments on last week's episode of Lightning Storm. It is currently sitting at just a little under 11,000 views, which puts it at the second most viewed episode of Lightning Storm of all time, behind my big leak from 2021 for all the 2022 figures, which makes sense. That one was basically Lightning Storm the movie. That was like a 40-minute episode of Lightning Storm. So that makes perfect sense to me. In fact, I still wouldn't expect, I still wouldn't be surprised if the one from last weekend overtakes that too, because it's just been getting views all week. But it had over 300 comments, and it was pretty overwhelming. And so, but I wanted to make sure that I looked at everybody's points. And so on Sunday night, I sat here, I thought Sunday or Monday night, I sat here and I read all of them. So I read every single comment. I read every single response. I responded to a lot of them. I didn't respond to a lot of them. I hearted a bunch of them. But if I did not respond or interact with it in any kind, I did read it. And I screenshotted a bunch of them that I just really wanted to highlight. So the first one here is the first one here was pointing out that I completely mispronounced Cyprus in my video last weekend when I was talking about Hasbro Pulse EU. I said like Cyprus, or I don't even know what I said wrong. And I knew that I was going to do that. So like I knew I was going to do that because I can't talk. I don't know how to speak English apparently. And so I always misspeak constantly. I'm always fumbling and stumbling over my words. The fact that I've gone nearly 40 minutes here today and I've said even like a single coherent thought is nothing short of a miracle. So I knew I was going to do that. And so I felt bad because I got multiple comments that are like, you pronounced it wrong. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. So there's that. So that's great. And also I said, apparently I also said Iceland when I totally meant to say Ireland. So I don't know what I was on, but you know, there's that. So I wanted to address that, even though that's not important, not really that important. And then there was the whole clickbait thing. You know, what you said and what the thumbnail says are two different things. It's not ending, it's going on hiatus. And then the response was, see you in 3 to 5 years, which I thought was just a really kind of funny, you know, a good way to represent the whole, you know, dichotomy of what was going on this past week. Is like, yes, you know, so, oh, good. I pronounced Bulgaria correctly, as the chat's pointing out. So I'm now at war. Yeah, you see, like, I do this all the time, especially when I'm reporting on, like, people finding things in China, Malaysia, Indonesia. I pronounce names terribly wrong, countries terribly wrong, and I apologize. I just can't talk very well. But there's that. But, like, I think the reason why I put this comment down here is just that I was not trying to clickbait people, but I was trying to clickbait people, and that's just how content creation goes. And like, it's just, I wanted people to see the video because I wanted it to cause, you know, I wanted it to cause a reaction, and it did, and it caused not even remotely, not even close to the kind of reaction that I expected. It did also provide the one that I did, and you know, we had also comments down here like hiatus is corporate speak for canceled. Most toy lines that go on hiatus never come back, and exactly. That's what I was trying to say, was that I heard from a lot of people at the time, and still at the current point in time, the most sources I had ever heard. And I'm going to say this with the like 100% and my integrity and my I recall you struggling with Quetzalcoatlus in a Revice video. Exactly. I don't even know how I got it right there. But like, I wanted to do my best, because if I was in the, you know, if the roles were reversed, and I, you know, I mean, well, I do. If I was the person who collected so much of the Lightning Collection, has poured so much time, money, effort, passion into it every single week, and then I found out from some random dude that I watch, who usually is right about things, and said the line was like ending, I'd be so upset, and I would want a response too. I wouldn't want to believe it. I'd be like, he's been right about everything else, but I don't want that to be true. And I knew that was what a lot of the comments were, and I felt the same way. And the thing is that, let me see what the next thing here is, that this was a perfect example. I read a ton of comments on Instagram, on Reddit, on 4chan, So this was a comment that was posted last Saturday, and I thought it was really funny. I'm not going to repeat it because it's rude, but I can take it. I can take it at face value. I know it's not, you know, it doesn't bother me. I've been called worse. I've dealt with worse in my life. And basically, I just wanted to, 4chan. I looked at everywhere. I looked at Facebook. Actually, this would be better because you guys can see it a little bit bigger here. I looked at Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, anywhere that I could think of. Ranger Board, 4chan, Foosh, Discord, like anywhere, anywhere and everywhere. I surrounded myself with the responses to this video, just because I just wanted to see what people were saying. And I tried my best to not let it bother me. And I'm not gonna lie, some of it did, but I knew not to let it get to me. And I knew that it was just basically almost like going through grief. And the reason why I knew that was just because I went through the same thing, where a couple weeks ago when I found out about the news, because I'm going to be fully transparent with this, I found out about this news officially, and I'll say officially, from like really trusted sources, back in the middle of June, and that's when I really started to believe it. But I first heard the initial rumblings of this back in March, and I wasn't able to say it back in March. That was way too soon. But as time continued, the thing is that I did the same thing. I went, well, that source has always been correct, and they're telling me this, and I go, but I can't believe that. They wouldn't do that. It's the 30th anniversary. Things were picking up. We have a fan stream. Emily's back. This is gonna be great. We're gonna have an amazing 30th anniversary. We're gonna have a badass 2024, and we're gonna head into the fifth anniversary. Stronger than we've ever been. We're getting closer to 200 figures. And then, in June, I get a bunch of responses that are like, I've heard that the line's going on a break, or that the line is canceled, or it's not happening. And I'm like, no. I'm like, you can't. I'm like, there's no way. And then it was the fact that I had, and I'll say this for sure, I still cannot reveal under any circumstance where the information comes from. I'm sorry. But 4 different sources in the span of 3 to 5 days responded to me, or reached out to me between the weeks of June 10th and June 23rd or something like that, to tell me this information. And it put me in a pretty upset spot because I was just like, damn it. Because we were celebrating three years of Lightning Storm, 200 episodes that just happened. I really thought we were about to head into an amazing summer of this line. And I got really upset. And I was also upset about a lot of other personal stuff. Like I said, I've been going through this past week. And so I use this, the content creation in this entire hobby is a release for me. It's an outlet. It's a way of expressing the way that I feel, and it's an escape. And of course, for some reason, I've taken my escape being my love and passion and desire for this brand and for this toy line, and have taken that and have made it into a career where that is never necessarily a good thing. They say don't do what you love or whatever. Well, they say do what you love, but also if work is doing something that you love, you're going to hate it or whatever, whatever the saying is. I'm not saying it correctly at all. But basically, I did exactly that. I made my passion into my career, and with that, I have taken away a lot of that passion because of that, because it's now no longer, do I want to do this? It's more of a, I have to do this. And so I felt really upset about it. And as Eric said, I definitely feel for you, Josh. And it was really hard. And it was really hard because I heard that news, and then so many things just kept happening personally with family and with friends and other things. And I was just like, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing this for a toy line and for a company that does not seemingly care and has never seemingly cared? And why have I spent so much money and so much time covering it? And was it worth it? And I can thankfully say that after this week, it absolutely was. In every possible way. So I have this comments up here, these 2 comments, because I thought this was another really interesting economy here. Dichotomy. Am I even using that big word correctly? It was a good contrast. And on the left here, we had a comment from MMPR Toys. You guys probably know him as Bruno. Don't mean to pick any beef with Bruno. I'm not a drama YouTuber by any means, but I do want to say, genuinely, if Bruno is watching by any means, that this was a little curveball to me. Especially as being somebody that I used to watch Bruno 10, 11, 12 years ago. I watched him back as far as the Samurai era. And basically, it's he was one of the first YouTubers that I watched ever, alongside Collector Shuki, who went by Shukun Shinobi back then, Dawson Rider, Ranger Reviewer 07, Ranger Reviews, what else? Or Ranger Reviews of Archer 9234 and Deca Blue 25. There's so many different people. Bolt Matrix, so many different people that I used to watch. And it was just a matter of I looked up to those people, and the whole reason why this exists, the whole reason why we're even here right now, and I'm talking to you, and I have the platform to do this where 300 people are watching me right now, is that, I was inspired. So when I see, somebody that I looked up to kind of be like, well, I've been going around, but when have they made this announcement, and where's the official source? And kind of just discredited me. I know that not directly, not personally, I know that, but you know what I mean? It just kind of hurts. And then kind of the same thing here with this whole, whatever this exchange is between Ken, Sean, and Christopher, which in my opinion just kind of gets a little bit more weirder the longer that you go. And it's so interesting. And basically Oh, hey, we got John Green in the chat. Another perfect example of who runs greenranger.com, greenranger.com. In fact, I actually don't really know exactly how you want me to pronounce the name of your website, to be honest. I always pronounce it like Per Ranger, like Power Ranger on Twitter, where they remove all the vowels. But like, that's another perfect example. There's so many people in this fandom that I look up to. Eric is around here somewhere in the chat. Ranger Command, Power Hour is one of my favorite podcasts I've ever listened to. I never thought, all these things, I never thought I would have either the privilege to work with these people, to be on these podcasts and channels. And especially, I never thought, especially in the case of like Eric and Rye and everybody else, I never would have thought that they would have called me and I could call them some of my closest friends and family. And for that to like be like something that happened, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy to me. And so essentially what was really, really interesting, so interesting, is that as the week progressed, some things got better in my life, some things got a lot worse. And by Thursday, Comic-Con was in full swing. And I knew that once Comic-Con was in full swing, that things were going to be a little weird, because on Monday I released a certain video, and I'm going to talk about that video, but I released that video on a whim, and I will be perfectly transparent with you guys. If Deadpool Ranger is watching this at any capacity, and I hope that he is, and I also apologize if I'm not reading too many comments. Like I said, there's just a lot to cover. I'm looking at them though, and I'm getting DM messages on Twitter popping up on my phone as I'm talking. So there's a lot happening, and there has been for the entirety of the last of the week, because if I thought I had 4 sources and I had the most sources ever corroborate a rumor, a leak of the line ending before last week's episode, the floodgates opened. Ever since last Saturday, my phone has basically never stopped dinging or making a noise of some kind, because I've been getting Discord messages and Instagram messages and Twitter messages, people who I have never interacted with publicly or privately, people I've only interacted with publicly and had no idea what was going on privately. I've gotten so many messages that go, hey, I saw your report. Yeah, that's true. The Lightning Collection is doing this. The Lightning Collection is doing that. I heard this. Hasbro burned me here. Hasbro ghosted me here. Hasbro did this to me. This is happening there. And I was blown away. And I was incredibly, incredibly overwhelmed, to be quite honest, because I was told so many things that are not supposed to be public, that I will hopefully never have to make public and never be able to get the chance to make public, because they shouldn't be. And I've been trusted with some things, and it's been insane, in my opinion. And so on Thursday, as you guys might have seen, there's always an annual shopping trip that me and my family go on just to kind of have some fun at some point in the summer. I picked up a lot of stuff. It's sitting all around me, which I plan on doing a bunch of videos on. I picked up, here's one Power Ranger thing I picked up, so I figured it was, topical. And what was crazy to me was that I started getting messages, and I go, what's going on? It's, Comic-Con's happening, I was kind of curious because I talked to Joe a couple days ago, and I was like, hey, you're hosting you're moderating the panel for Boom Studios. Good luck with that. And I was talking to him about anybody talking to Hasbro contacts and who was going to be on the floor, if they were sending anybody from Power Rangers. And I do want to say I felt bad for Emily specifically from the Power Rangers team, because I knew that she was going on behalf of G.I. Joe, because I know that that's her main thing. And I was really afraid that, because I think that she does a fantastic job at G.I. Joe, and I thought that her return to Power Rangers back on the April 17th fan stream was excellent. She read that statement about quality control. I think she has a genuine passion. She has, full disclosure, she follows, I think, at least my Lightning account. And she responded on April 17th about, I welcomed her back, and she was like, do you still have your chart where you update all the figures and give them numbers? And I'm like, you bet I do. And that means a lot to me. I do that chart for fun because I like making charts and numbers and statistics of things. And that's really cool that she remembered that I did that from a couple years ago. She even kind of, hinted that, or name dropped that number thing in a stream a long time ago. And that's cool. And you can tell that I think she's a great, communicator with interacting with the fandoms and everything. And I felt really bad that since she was going to go on behalf of G.I. Joe, and that she would probably be the only Power Rangers representative there, I was like, oh, please, people don't go bother Emily all weekend. I felt so bad. I was like, no, that was not my intention to have a bunch of people bombard her. So if you're watching by any means, Emily, I genuinely apologize. because I saw people on Facebook posting screenshots where they were DMing Hasbro Pulse on Instagram. I'm sure that people DM'd their personal accounts. I'm sure that happened. But then this happened, and this was insane. So this is a tweet from Toku Chris, or Geek with Chris now, and it said, I guess there's a rumor that an official statement was read, Power Rangers, or RE Power Rangers Lightning Collection from Hasbro. If true, then Living Ranger Key joins me in the infamous we pissed off a toy company and then got them to issue a statement about a product line's future. Great job, Josh. Yeah. So, as it turns out, and so here is a picture of the team from the last stream that we had, and I guess I screenshotted it when I had John's name up. So we have John, and we have, I believe, Jared, and we have Emily, and going from right to left. And as far as I know, only Emily's there for, like I said, G.I. Joe, and I mean, well, actually, I think John is there for other brands as well, because he's like on Ghostbusters and Transformers, and I think also G.I. Joe. So I know John's there. I know for sure John's there too. But anyway, not important. From what I understand, Emily, I think I want to say this was at the breakfast that they have, and I'm sure Toku Chris, anybody could back it up. But bringing MCU Collector 24 back into the fray here, essentially, he sent me a DM and was like, Emily just read me this statement off her phone, and it sounded like it came from like some sort of email or something. And I'm not going to assume that means that they're going to send out an official email, because I don't think that's going to happen. In my personal opinion, I feel like this statement, the fact that it exists in the first place, is basically somewhat comparable to when they had fan channel sites post, or fan, retailers, or what's the word? Influencers. There we go. Fan influencers post the statements about the return to plastic packaging in 2024. So I'm going to go and make it this way so you can see the whole thing, because this is big. It backs up exactly what we've all kind of known, if you've sort of been reading in between the lines of things, and also just kind of what I've been saying. And this is, as much as I hate to admit it, first of all, this is the most official statement that we will get about this, unless we caused such a stir that they have to address it during Power Month weekday, whatever it is. That could happen, since Emily did, apparently read this off of her phone or something from an email or whatever. And also the fact that she mentioned it, or, she mentioned the whole quality control thing in the last. So it could happen, but for now, at least out of Comic-Con, this is the best response you're going to get. And the fact that we got one at all is a big deal. So I'm going to read it. And this is a direct quote from MCU Collector 24. So huge thanks to him for posting this from the floor from the Comic-Con, convention. For those wondering, Power Rangers Lightning Collection is on pause. Production for the show in New Zealand has been discontinued. Hasbro will continue to produce Hasbro Power Rangers products for fans and kids, including the Lightning Collection. Hope this helps. Think this way: no show after Cosmic Fury, no product. Hasbro is still working to reboot True Series, which I'll get to what that means in a second. When that happens, expect new product. Wow. To say the least, I was blown away, because not only did that confirm outright the Lightning Collection is on pause, but it also confirmed outright this too, which is also a big deal. It's coming back, which is great, because that means that they have to kind of, I guess that means that they don't have to necessarily live up to their word. They could, in theory, break it later. But what that tells me is that in terms of being on the bubble, it's more of the safer ones. And to put this into perspective as well, we have to not talk about that, not talk about that. Nope. There we go. So you saw some spoilers. It's basically to put all of this into perspective, here, we have to go to this guy here, and that is Mr. Stevie 18. And if you don't know who Mr. Stevie 18 is, he's a very interesting case when it comes to Hasbro and marketing and official press release statements from them. So he is their product designer director at Marvel, and he's in charge of their 3.75 inch line. And let me grab something here, because it is going to be important to demonstrate it. And I promise you I didn't plan this. It just worked out with a bunch of Target sales. So essentially, as you probably know, and I'll go here because this is important. As you probably already know, there is, for most Hasbro lines, their 6-inch collector line. Think Lightning Collection, Classified, Legends, Black Series, all that kind of stuff. And then you have your basic kids toys. And I know that this is just obvious, stuff to most people, but I just want to explain it to, present my ideas here. For Power Rangers, the Lightning Collection is, of course, the adult line, and the basic figure line for Dino Fury, for Cosmic Fury, which, by the way, is on the way. So take that as it will. I have gotten that confirmed. You're not going to like it, though. It's only half of the team, but we'll get there when we get there. But anyway, not the point. So there's the basic figure line, and there's the 6-inch line. And for Power Rangers, at least, those have been in the same scale. They've been, a way to get some monsters from modern seasons, some villains that are obviously not lightning quality or articulation, but you could pose them and take pictures and stuff, and it can kind of work. And for Marvel, they do the same thing. So for Marvel, here's an example of, I got this on sale at Target. And this is Spider-Man from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or specifically from Into the Spider-Verse. And this is their $10, now $12 basic figure. However, going forward, and they're doing this for both the Marvel Studios MCU stuff and for comic stuff, they are discontinuing 6-inch basic figures, and they're moving to 3.75-inch basic figures. So this just came out recently. It's the same price as this, roughly. That's not true. I think it's like $10-ish. Or it's comparable. They're basically sort of replacing each other. And this is under their brand new Epic Hero series. And the Epic Hero series is something that Stevie worked on. And he basically was talking about this and how before this was actually the Marvel Legends 3.75-inch line, which I know a lot of people collected that. And he actually put out a statement and said, hey, we have a lot of people that collect Marvel 3.75-inch, and we are putting that line on pause to launch our Epic Hero line as sort of a replacement. And basically, like, it's just kind of weird because, like, people were collecting the Marvel Legends line for 3.75-inch, and now we have only this kid line, and people were mad about that. But he put out a statement that's like, doesn't mean that we can never go back to Marvel Legends 3.75-inch, but Epic Hero is going to be the way to go for brand new Spider-Man figures, for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 figures. They just showed off their X-Men 97 figures for that series. So, like, going forward, that is the basic line of figures for comic stuff and for MCU stuff. And the reason why this is important is that I still personally do not know the source of this picture, but it was sourced from Instagram, and I was hearing that it comes from Stevie, or Stevie was the one who put out this statement, or he backed it up or something, and that was this. And I gotta make sure that I go here. And basically it was this. Lightning Collection isn't ending. Hasbro put it, D&D, and Indiana Jones on a rest year. We'll still get re-releases of deluxe figures to tide us over. I heard this from a stall owner who works closely with Hasbro at London Film and Comic Con last weekend, which, by the way, this was about 3 weeks ago, in that span of time where I heard like at least 4 different confirmations that the line was going on a break. He also gave them constructive feedback on the lack of Wave 15 outside of the US, and it's because they don't do mixed cases of figures anymore, but still a demand of certain numbers are purchased by stores, hence why no UK company sold Wave 15. Hasbro apparently agreed with him about returning to mixed cases, and what that means is that in the past, basically, like, there was this whole thing where, like, you would get a wave and you would get, like, when the waves were 4 figures, you would get like 2 of each figure in a case of 8, because they ship these 8 to a case. And more recently, they've had it where essentially, like, basically now, well, this has always been the case for online retailers, but online retailers, the reason why they have like basically the same amount of stock for every kind of figure is that they just buy a single solid case where you get like 8 Turbo Reds or like 8 Lost Galaxy Blues or whatever it may be. And going forward, they can just keep doing that, and they don't have to get a bunch of spares. And so apparently they didn't do that. So they didn't do a mixed case or whatever for Wave 15, which I think that is true. Because I do recall now remembering, I don't think that like Entertainment Earth or anything like that put up anything about like buying a wave of like, I don't think it was a listing for like buy Wave 15. I think it was just like, that kind of thing. So what's crazy is that, yeah, like that's kind of why Wave 15, I guess, didn't release in the UK. It doesn't really make much sense to me. But basically, the thing that I was more interested in here was deluxe re-releases. And I genuinely do not know what that means. I do not. But what's exciting about that is that because of that statement, and that's planned for 2024, presumably, we have content to talk about for Lightning Storm in 2024 regardless. It's just going to be significantly less stuff than we're used to. So like to a lot of a degree. But Lightning Storm's not going anywhere. Lightning Storm is not going anywhere. We are going to talk about all the news as much as we can. If I had to give my own personal opinion, completely personal opinion, when I read the statement deluxe re-releases, that means it really can only be one of two possible things. It can either be re-releases of the remastered or something in the remastered price point, or it can be re-releases of the deluxe figures. And if I was somebody who was sitting here going, if I was in charge, what would I do at Hasbro under a deluxe re-release assortment or line? And that would be, in my opinion, I feel like the best idea would be remastered white for the 30th anniversary of season 2, 30th anniversary for season 2. Do a remastered Zed. I would love this. Please do a Robo Rita, Snizzard, and Minotaur from Once and Always. In fact, the other day at the flea market, I bought the original Bandai 90s Snizzard, who has gold plastic syndrome with a broken tail. And like, I love Snizzard so much. I've wanted a Robo Snizzard since the second I saw him, and I knew that his whole power was creating Lightning Collection figures. I made that whole funny thing where it's like, I want him to be the ambassador of the Lightning Collection. And it's like, I want that to happen. I want figures of those characters. And what's really fascinating to me, and I think what's really interesting, is that I know that it takes 12 to 18 months for them to go, hey, we're going to make this figure. Let's then produce it, manufacture it, market it, box, pre-orders, all that kind of stuff. It takes about 12 to 18 months for the whole process of like, we're going to make it to fans have it. And so when you go with that timeline of events, unless they started development on Once and Always figures like reasonably early into reasonably early in that 12 to 18 month time frame, which would have put that probably about somewhat towards the end of 2021, if I remember that, if that lines up correctly, like at the max. And I doubt that was the case, because we know from Simon Bennett that Once and Always was delayed, or not delayed, was announced in greenlit pretty late in the process of it being developed. So I'm hoping that if we go 12 to 18 months from Once and Always, that means that they could get those out as 2024 deluxe re-releases. It would work with the timeline. I don't know for sure if that's what they're doing, or if they're doing remastered figures for season 2, or if there's just, or if it literally just means we're going to get like a restock of like Blue Centurion, or which would be a terrible idea because those are clogging up targets. You cannot get Dale out of there quick enough. And like, or a re-release of just, here's another batch of In Space Blue with the glider. Like, those would be terrible ideas. So, and with things like the remastered Rita having the swappable faceplates, it just would make sense, in my opinion, for them to do at least a Robo Rita. I know that Snizzard and Minotaur would require brand new molds, but like you could do a remastered white Zed in a Robo Rita pretty easily with pre-existing molds and be deluxe re-releases. So we'll see. But I don't expect anything else. I don't expect any other kind of fixes to any other previous teams or anything like that. Because even though that definitely should happen, and I see Eric mentioning SPD, and he's absolutely correct, they screwed up SPD royally, and I really wish that they didn't do that. All 7 of those figures have like good qualities about them, but are all kind of messed up in their own way. So like, it's interesting. But going back to what I was, trying not to spoil earlier, here we go. So what does that leave us with? And I need water now. All right, we're doing well. We're doing very well. We still have nearly 300 people watching, and we are an hour in, and we're pretty close. I think we're like 2/3 of the way through this. So thank you guys for sticking around and for chatting and everything. This has been wonderful. I'm trying to respond and intertwine comments in as much as possible, because let's talk about what we got left, because it's not all good stuff, and it's not all good news. So here's the deal. The hiatus is confirmed. It's also confirmed that the line is going to come back. It's also confirmed that we're getting deluxe re-releases in 2024, but that does not change the fact that we have a couple things left for 2023 that have already been manufactured. And also, in technicality, based off of when they announce pre-order dates to be, some of this stuff is going to be accidentally 2024. And what I mean by that is that these bottom 3 Boom Studios figures, which I will be revealing what they are. You already saw them when I was sliding through the streams there. When I was going through all the different slides there, you already saw them very briefly. But regardless, that is going to be a Wave 16. It's not. It's a fan channel exclusive wave of Boom Studios figures, but I guess you could call it a Wave 16. I will never call it that. I'm sure, though, probably Star Action Figures would probably call it a wave. I'm sure like In Demand Toys would probably call it a wave. All the UK stores love just Forbidden Planet's going to call it a wave, so that's going to be fun. Entertainment Earth will probably call it a wave and call it like Wave 19 or something, because I don't know how they got the numbers so screwed up on all those places, but I digress. Here's what we have left. Here's what we know, and here's updates on all of this stuff. So first of all, I'm going to start with the Yellow Ranger helmet. I know I'm starting in a weird spot. So Yellow Ranger helmet is something that I leaked to you guys a long time ago, and just nothing has happened. I don't know a listing for this thing. I don't know a code name for this thing, but I've heard a lot of different people insisting that it is still happening, that they've seen it, that it's been manufactured, that it is probably, it was supposed to probably be something to tie into Once and Always. It's why we got the daggers already. It's why we got the Morpher already. I don't really know what they're waiting for. So I always kind of thought that they would show this off around Once and Always, but at this point, obviously that's not the case. So I'm going to basically go through everything here very briefly. I'm going to say what's going on with it, and I'm going to say when I think it's going to get revealed, because I personally think we only have one of two possible opportunities for all this stuff to get revealed, and that is either whatever they do in August for the 30th anniversary, which I'm personally expecting there to not be a live stream. If anybody watched anything with Yojo June that Hasbro did last month, there was not a single G.I. Joe live stream that was not the HasLab reveal. And so all they did was every Wednesday, they had a pre-recorded video go live at 11 a.m. at the time, 11 a.m. Eastern, the time that a stream would happen. And that's what I think is going to happen. But I also think that there's so little things for them to talk about. I think we're going to get one, maybe two pre-recorded streams if we're lucky. And it's not even going to be a stream. It would just be like a 5-minute pre-recorded video, because also, especially because of the fact that I really stirred the pot this week with, fan backlash. I don't think that they're going to want to show their faces anywhere near a place where people could do a live chat. I don't think that's going to happen at all. And you know what? I get it. So especially because people are not going to see that official statement. They're not going to believe it as an official statement, and they're going to be expecting more. They're going to be expecting I mean, people wouldn't believe the end of this line happening or the hiatus happening if it was like a neon sign somewhere. So I don't really know what else to do, for them to do other than do something like that. So it's going to be a tricky thing for them to do a live stream. So I feel like they're probably just going to do a pre-recorded video. Now, if they were smart with it, with marketing, you would release that video on Monday, August 28th, which is the 30th anniversary, and it just so happens to fall on a weekday. Although they do like to do Power Rangers news on a Tuesday, so maybe it'd happen on the 29th. I have no idea, but I'm expecting at least one pre-recorded video, and I'm expecting the Yellow Ranger helmets to be one of those August reveals. And I'll get into why I expect this for everything in a second. I think the Yellow Ranger helmet is very overdue. I expect them to probably announce it for I don't know, maybe like a December release date, but maybe I mean, we're at the point where they would announce things for like a February or March release date, which is why these are going to be 2024 items. But you know how this is going to go. They're going to be out in China or Malaysia by Christmas, and so I'm going to consider them 2023, even though they won't get them into the US until 2024. So that's the last roleplay helmet and roleplay item in general that isn't the Master Morpher that it should be still coming. Let's jump to one that is not happening, which is unfortunate. So as far as I've been told, the Zap Tigerzord is a no-go, which is a shame. But that kind of makes sense, because basically, the only thing we'd ever heard about this in an official capacity was when it was posted as a leaked screenshot or a leaked photo of a presentation slide, which you see right here, at a Hasbro Brazil private event in December 2022. Very odd. One of the weirdest ones. I will never forget where I was the night that happened. I was just chilling in my friend's dorm upstairs from our dorm, and I was like, oh, crap. I guess I got to go downstairs and make a lightning storm, because I knew about Zap Tigerzord. I just didn't know that we were just going to get a random picture of it dropped in the middle of the night. Or not, it wasn't even the middle of the night. It was like 7 p.m. in the evening. I was like, what is going on? So technically that slide never confirmed that Zap Tigerzord was coming. And a lot of people were like, is a Zap Tigerzord actually coming? Or are they just changing the logo from the Jew Ranger Z to a Tigerzord? And I'm like, that's not Like, that's not what's happening. They're doing a Tiger Zord. They're just teasing it with this picture. And since that was from a private event, that was never supposed to be public. I don't know how or why that it was ever posted like that. And it was obviously so early on in development, or early enough along to where they, were not even able to show you like a render of it, let alone a physical prototype or anything like that. So as far as I know, Tiger Zord was very much in development. I don't know what it would have included. I don't know if it's even possible for it to come back. Maybe in 2024, because that would be the 30th anniversary of season 2. So like maybe it's still on the table since they did develop it. But I personally think that reevaluating Zap is a very interesting thing, and I would love to do a retrospective on it because it's a line that had so much potential, but they shot themselves in the foot every single release. It was kind of impressive because you had a Megazord that had a bunch of stuff that fans did not want with extra detail, which Power Ranger fans don't like that. It also had a tied to an NFT release right out the get-go. You also had it do this weird scale thing where every Megazord did not fit in the scale with each other, but fit in this arbitrary scale to model buildings and stuff that Hasbro doesn't even sell. So that was weird. And then, of course, with Astro Megazord, which I just haven't reviewed it yet because I don't like to touch it because the clips are broken and they were pre-broken outside of the box. And I waited for the Pulse sale to get one because, there we go. So real interesting stuff there. And so as much as I would have liked a Tiger Zord, as much as I would have liked a Tiger Zord and never got the Legacy one and would love to own a Tiger Zord someday, it would have had a bunch of extra materials on it and the tail would have snapped off or something every time you moved it, or it would have had some weird thing about it that just would have ruined it. And so Zap, great concept, beautiful execution with the boxes, absolutely flawed approach. And it's just a shame that happened, and I'm not surprised that Zap Tiger Zord did not make it to production and that we are not going to get it. Pretty sure, at least. Then we get to the Omega 4-pack. The Omega 4-pack is the weirdest one on here and the one that kind of frustrates me the most because it absolutely should have been a reveal at Comic-Con 2 days ago, and they just went, nah. So, like I said, we've seen all the pictures of it. I'm sure we've all seen it at this point. It's happening. It's in the US. It's probably just going to be an in-stock thing at this point. I obviously don't expect it to be a convention exclusive anymore because I would have expected it to be a Comic-Con exclusive right now if it was going to be. So I'm expecting this to be a just in-stock thing, either as a Pulse exclusive or I guess possibly an Amazon exclusive. They do like their team packs after all. So I really don't know at this point, but that should be a set that just goes up. But I guess the good news is that since it's probably not a convention exclusive, it probably only will be the like $100 price point that this kind of should be and not anything really more than that. So I guess that's a plus. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. Then we have, I guess, what did I have next? You just saw it, so I guess we'll just do it anyway. The 4 Boom Studios figures. So I have finally figured this out. This took a while. Let me tell you, it took a while. And I will say, if there's anything here that I don't want to put my 100% confidence in, it is this. And that is because I've heard a lot of people go, yep, that is the mystery Boom Studios wave. And I've heard some people go, that's what I heard it was, but I don't know if that's what they decided on. And I've heard a lot of other people that are like, yeah, it probably is that. You can probably go ahead and say that. I just would be a little careful. So I just want to preface that with that little bit of a disclaimer. I personally do believe it because it makes a lot of sense. The mystery 3 figures joining Morpher, which I do believe is now also confirmed to be in that wave, is going to be a wave of 4 fan channel exclusive figures that I personally think they're not going to reveal until Hasbro PulseCon. And the reason why I believe that is because it's a tradition at this point, kind of an unofficial tradition, that a wave of figures gets revealed at a PulseCon. So in 2020, they revealed Wave 7. In 2021, they revealed Wave 11. And in 2022, they revealed the back half of Wave 13, but they launched Wave 13 pre-orders, and they started to tease Wave 14. So that was a little bit of a different case. And I think this year, since we don't have a Wave 16 for them to tell us about, they're going to fill that wave slot with the fan channel exclusive Boom Studios wave. So I'm kind of classifying this as basically like Boom Wave 1, kind of, something like that. I mean, that's just my own personal distinction of how I'm going to classify this. But I believe that these will get probably pre-order dates of like a February, March 2024 thing. That's why these will be probably considered 2024 products. But this makes perfect sense. And people are going to complain about it because when you have some mystery slots for Boom Studios figures, you go, oh, do the Gold Omega Ranger, do the Squadron Die Rangers, do the Solar Rangers, and you have all these really good ideas that they should make figures of, But then you got to sit here and go, what is the Hasbro approach to this? What is the Hasbro business move here? And this wave is exactly that. But at the same time, I'm happy that if we're going on a break for a while, we're going to wrap this up. And I do like what this does mean for the Omega Ranger 4-pack, because it is a nice companion piece to that. So Morphonaut is the first one, which makes sense. It is just a third repaint of that mold with an Astronomer's staff. You can literally, and many people have already made that figure. The other three are the other three color swap figures. So this is, I think, a good choice. It's going to be an annoying choice for many people, but I do think that this is going to be the best choice here. So from what I understand, the remaining three joining Morphonaut in that wave is going to be color swap blue, black, and pink. Now we don't really need color swap black, because you can just kind of include, or you can just swap a Billy head on there and make that. So, you know, oh my God, armored, regular, metallic, Adam, first Selfie Series, second Selfie Series, remastered. Is this our, oh my God, is this our 8th Mighty Morphin Black that we're going to be getting in the line? So this is going to be insane. And I will have all 8 of them. I never thought that something was going to be able to rival MMPR Pink, regular, female MMPR Pink, but here we are. So it does look like that's going to be the case. But basically, I have no desire for that figure to exist, but I get it. If you're going to do the other 3 color, if you're going to do 2 of the 3 remaining color swaps, you might as well. And I do want a comic Billy head, and these better do have, they better have civilian head sculpts. They kind of have to for the whole point of this, especially because, you know, the Trini and Zach, the Trini and Jason 2-pack had comic head sculpts, but that's why this is really cool, because color swap pink, I think, would be a very big fan desired figure for 2 reasons. Because one, as people are saying in the chat, you would get a male Mighty Morphin Pink body, which is definitely fun. But also, you'd get a Zach comic head that you could then use with your Omega Ranger pack, which we know doesn't have one. And you could already use your comic swap, color swap Trini and Jason with that pack. Still no Kia, unfortunately, which would be awesome if we could get somehow. And there are other ways we could get her head sculpt that I'm not going to spoil here, maybe someday. But at least for the main Omega trio of Mighty Morphin characters that we know, you'll be able to get comic head sculpts with them in some capacity, hopefully, that you can use with the Omegas. And if that was the intention, good job. If that was not the intention, that works out very well. Then also color swap pink or color swap blue with Kimberly. That's cool. I definitely like a female blue. Definitely down for that. And I really like that color swap 2-pack. I think it's a very fun release. Even though the Yellow Ranger figure in that set is pretty awful with the pinless body and how wobbly it is. And the Jason head sculpt's pretty terrible as well. But all things considered, I've always thought this was a fun story arc. This is actually where I'm at in reading Go-Go Power Rangers right now. I'm only 5 years behind. But regardless, I'm happy that they're going to finish this and they're not going to leave this lingering. I'm really happy about that. And it does benefit another release. So while it would have been, of course, preferable to get Matt as the Green Ranger, any of the evolutions for Draken, and any hundreds of comic figures that people are going to suggest, Dino Charge Dark Ranger, yes, we would have gotten a lot better options that they could have done, and maybe hopefully they could do them in the future. And so I'm really hoping that the sales of this wave are good, so that hopefully maybe when they come back, they see that and go, let's make more comic figures. Because I think they are finally listening here in the responses where people have been begging for more comic figures. And now in the span of the last couple months of the first era of the Lightning Collection, we're going to have an Omega 4-pack and 4 additional figures. We're going to have 8 more Boom Studios comic figures, which is like, I think like doubling or almost tripling the amount that we have in the past. If you count TMNT and stuff like that, it kind of gets skewed. But like, this is fantastic. So yes, Morphonaut and the color swaps are the final wave of the slime. Final wave for the Lightning Collection before we go on break. And that is going to be a fan channel release for probably early 2024 and probably the PulseCon reveal. So I'm thinking Omegas at... So what was I going to say here? I was thinking Omegas at probably PulseCon, maybe, to go with the Boom Studios figures. I'm thinking the yellow helmets in August. And I'm thinking this other thing here in August, the Master Morpher. Finally, we're going to get it right here. I'm so hyped for this. You don't even know. So I'm so happy of all the things this is going to make it out in time. And this is not an official picture of this box. This is not an official picture of this box. I just want to make sure that that is clear. This is a mock-up of the upcoming Power Rangers Lightning Collection Master Morpher. We know this is not real product photography, but we know that this is real. And this comes from the account Angry Collectors. So they are an account that kind of just popped up somewhat recently in terms of leaking stuff. They're on Instagram and on Twitter. I saw them a couple weeks ago when they posted about the Classified Series figures. They posted the pictures of some of them, like the night before the pre-orders went live. They also posted a picture of the canceled Adventure Series Mola Ram figure from Temple of Doom. Somehow they got a picture of that. And so they posted some really interesting stuff about Adventure Series and Classified Series. And those ones, they put this watermark on them. I don't know how they get these pictures. But I will confirm this. While this is not a picture of the box directly, this is exactly what you can expect it to look like, or at least very close. I've been told this exact thing, that it has 6 coins: Dragon Zord, Tiger Zord, Falcon, Zeo, Turbo, and Dino Thunder. That it has the chrome plates just like it did in the show. And I've also been told that it is a picture of JDF. I'm not sure if it's a screenshot from Dimensions in Danger, but it's at least a promo shot of him from that era. It's an actual picture of JDF as Tommy on the box. So while they included that here, I don't know if it's that specific angle or whatever. There is going to be a picture of him on the box, which I think is going to be kind of, once again, bittersweet, especially because he recorded exclusive voice lines for this product before he passed away. He confirmed this by breaking an NDA in a interview that was conducted by Kentucky Jam Josh Moore, who was on the chat earlier. And then that interview was released on Ranger Command Power Hour as an episode. And then that part was trimmed out because he broke an NDA. And later on, after his passing, the clip was released. I included it in a Lightning Storm back in February, I want to say. So JDF himself said exactly this. He said that Hasbro came to him. They said, hey, we want to do a White Ranger movie Morpher. Would you record lines for this? And he goes, oh, yeah, if you make a Master Morpher, because that's not because the fans don't want a White Ranger movie Morpher, they want a Master Morpher. And I was told that Hasbro went, what's a Master Morpher? Which makes you just want to face palm to like the most, you know that meme or that gif where there's like a whole theater of people and they just all face palm. That's how I feel whenever I hear that statement. It makes me just want to like scream into the ether that they didn't know what that was. But regardless, they clearly figured it out. He told them what it was. He recorded exclusive lines for this. They're including the Falcon coin, which was never used in the episode or in Soul of the Dragon, which is pretty cool. But he did use like the powers technically, because he summoned the Falcon Zord. So, in theory, it would be a coin that he should probably have. So there's that. So the only thing about this box that I know is wrong for sure, besides the fact that this is a mock-up, is that the stand is not black. I was told, and I don't really know what to expect with this, but I was told that for some reason, it's like the same design of a stand. It's the same design of the stand that we've been getting, but it's like apparently it's like a beige color, or it's like supposed to be like a tannish beige color. So I don't really know what that's going to look like, but I guess expect that. So just keep that in mind. That's a little Lightning Collection or a little Lightning Storm exclusive here, that it's going to be that. But it's Angry Collectors, wherever this picture came from, they did a fantastic job mocking this box up, and it looks legit. Like when I back up here and I look at that, I'm like, whoa, that is the real thing. But I think you can see like a little strip of yellow above it, or like I think it's photoshopped from the Yellow Ranger Morpher box. So like, yeah. Some people are bringing out in the chat that could be like a sandstone kind of color. Yeah, that would make sense too, I guess. So I guess we'll wait and see. And then we get to the kind of like bad part about it, and that is I'm fairly confident at this point that this is going to be a Hasbro PulseCon exclusive item for about $100, which sucks. And I cropped the Angry Collectors post, but they mentioned that they heard that it's going to be a PulseCon exclusive for about $100. I haven't heard if 100 is like the set in stone price that it's going to just go for, like $99.99. But that makes sense. I mean, I'm not surprised because the regular Morphers go for $59.99, which is already too expensive for those. But then when you think of the fact that this has an extra coin, it doesn't apparently come with any pogs. I guess the yellow and pink Ranger Morphers came with the regular coins too, but I don't think it comes with any pogs. It has the special voice phrases, the chrome plates, which I don't think are metal, but just have the chrome plates that have all the special sounds, the special box. Because I'm also sure but the box will probably look a lot nicer because it would probably be a PulseCon, you know, kind of fancier box. It probably won't even look like this kind of probably won't even be like a you know, like a Morpher box like this, or probably be more of a fancier, maybe special kind of box that has JDS face on it, which is going to be really sad. So with all that in mind, and with being a JDF product, not that I think that they're trying to like market anything off of his passing or anything like that, you know, I don't accuse them of that at all. In fact, I believe that they pushed this item, if anything else. It was in development since last year, and I do believe that just, you know, with all the circumstances and everything, making it a PulseCon exclusive, charging that up, you know, that more expensive price, it just makes the most business sense thing to do. Now, what would also make the most business sense thing to do, hopefully, is that they go the G.I. Joe approach with this kind of thing, and that this will be a pre-order that they do multiple batches of, which is usually pretty unprecedented and unheard of for convention exclusives. But in this case, it really kind of needs to be done, because this thing is going to sell out quickly. Pulse Premium members are going to eat this thing up super fast. Resellers are going to eat this thing up super fast. Scalpers especially, because you know this is going to go crazy amounts of money. I would personally love to get 2 of them. I would love to get one to not open. I just need one, though. If I can only get one, that's fine. I don't plan on reselling any of these at all. I just, with the item that it is, with him being my favorite character in the franchise, and being literally the thing that I've wanted them to do since I took over the brand. I wanted a Master Morpher for 5 years, that they're finally getting it, and I'm hoping that it will be something that's not too hard to get. And I would imagine that it's going to be available anywhere where Hasbro Pulse is available, so not worldwide technically, but like, you know, they did just expand in the EU, and I do think that they offer exclusives. I could be wrong about that. I know that Pulse UK has had like PulseCon exclusives in the past, so I would imagine anywhere where PulseCon or where Pulse is, you'll be able to get PulseCon exclusives. And we already talked about that. We talked about the you know, but this is what I was going to kind of have on screen when we talked about this, and that's where we get to Hasbro PulseCon itself, which Hasbro PulseCon this year is an interesting announcement, because not only does it confirm kind of or back up the idea that Power Rangers is not doing so well as a brand, but, you know, we took a look at this, right? We took a look at this statement that said that they put 4 of their lines, or 3 of their lines, on a pause. And Marvel 375 was another one that they put on a pause, like I talked about. So 4 lines, but they put just this year alone D&D, Indiana Jones, and Lightning Collection on a rest year. That's not good. That's not good for a company to do that. Indiana Jones, the movie, flopped. They canceled the Molaram figure, which they canceled a lot of Temple of Doom stuff for a lot of different stuff, like Lego canceled Temple of Doom products, and Hasbro did as well. And they have no plans on any more adventure series going forward. They had the entire line on display at Comic-Con right now this weekend, but they said that they were going to be there to demonstrate it because it is a new toy line, but there's going to be nothing new for them anymore, and the line is on a hold year because there's no show or movie to tie it into anymore, just like Power Rangers is about to go into, because there is no season 31 next year, and the reboot that they've been working on, those ones that has been shelved because of the writer's strike and the and the SAG Screen Actors strike. So the strikes to put the reboot basically on indefinite hiatus, where it's honestly, who knows if it's ever even going to happen at this point. So Lightning Collection also now joins G.I. Joe and Indiana Jones to have nothing to base their toy lines off of. So that's why this is happening. And D&D is the same kind of way. The movie, I loved that movie, by the way. If anybody has not seen Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, it was very, very fun. Great movie. I've never played D&D. I've always been slightly interested in it. I love dice, by the way. I don't know if anybody's seen me fiddling around here at my desk, but I've been fiddling around with a die this entire episode. And I have a die bag in my bag here. I have my Red Ranger bag. It's in here because I just like to fiddle with dice. It's kind of like a comfort thing for me. And so, like, I would love to play D&D and stuff like that, but, like, you know, it's a big brand, and for them to basically, like, D&D, sorry, Eric, yeah, D&D is going on a hiatus here because the movie was not a financial success at all. The entire, what's it called, Golden Archive line, which is their 6-inch figure line, was part of the PulseCon sale, Target clearances for $10. It's gone. So like, that line is also not doing well. So that is 3 6-inch figure lines that are going on a break in 2024. And I would say 2/3 of them don't have really much of any chance of coming back. Because, like, Indiana Jones, they're not going to make a 6th movie. So that's probably never coming back. I would love for them to make Kingdom of the Crystal Skull stuff, because I do like that movie, but there's that. And for D&D, I mean, obviously the brand of D&D is not going anywhere, but, like, the movie franchise is done. So, like, the 6-inch figures, So like if you wanted to get a Chris Pine, which I did too, Eric, I wanted to get a couple of those characters actually, because I thought that was a really fun movie. You can probably get the whole crew of that movie for like, oh, I don't know. You're gonna find them at Ollie's, that's for sure. I'm sure you could probably get the whole crew in like a year. Oh, actually, that's a perfect example. Hold on. Why did I not talk about this? This is actually important and topical. So if you've seen anything online, recently Hasbro discontinued their Fortnite Victory Royale series. This is a $80 speedboat that they released for this line, which tells me they poured a lot into this. And people have been buying this for G.I. Joe figures because it's just a speedboat that does not come with any Fortnite figures, and it's kind of sort of ambiguous, or kind of you know, you can kind of just pretend it's anything, right? This usually sold for $80. You can get it at Ollie's right now, which is what I did. I don't know if you can read it, for $14.99. And you can get so many other things at Ollie's for ridiculously cheap prices. You want a Fortnite glider? This was $4. You want to get a Fortnite figure? This was one of their $25 figures. Bush Ranger? $6. Where else was there? There was deluxe price point figures. So like monsters or something like that, or that, vehicle sets. Here's Mouse Schools, right? That kind of price point. This one, $13. And that's not all. They also released these little arcade machines, $2. And let me tell you this entire toy line lasted for a little over a year. It had its debut at Hasbro PulseCon 2021. No. Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest 2021. And it never had a fan stream ever again. It never showed up at a PulseCon ever again. And the line is dead. They canceled pre-orders for listings that were up on Amazon, as Preternia reported on Twitter. And let me tell you this. To this day, the line has never gotten an announcement from Hasbro that said, you know what? We're discontinuing the Fortnite Victory Royale series. And what's kind of crazy is that I don't really see a lot of people going like, well, I'm waiting. I won't believe it until an official announcement comes for that. And I don't really know how else you get an official announcement than that. If I can get an $80 speedboat for $15, and also they had an entire pallet of them, like an entire, multiple cases of them, that tells me this line did not do very well. And this is super, super cool. I wanted this for G.I. Joe. And $15, I'm going to buy that. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So that's why it was just kind of interesting to see people be like, oh, they won't say anything about it, so it's not true. But it's just weird. But basically, back to the whole point, they did announce Hasbro PulseCon 2023, and they confirmed as part of the brands that Power Rangers is going to be there. So we have a absolute 100% confirmation that we are going to get at least one last hurrah at Hasbro PulseCon. I can do at least one more Hasbro PulseCon reaction stream. I can do one more Hasbro PulseCon recap video. Great, which is fantastic. And I will be doing that on September 22nd. I believe that is a Friday. I'm going to look at the calendar. I'm pretty sure that's a Friday. Yep. So this is on Friday. But here's the thing that's important about this. Historically, Hasbro PulseCon has always been a 2-day event. Half the brands on Friday, half the brands on Saturday. But not this time. They've announced that Hasbro PulseCon 2023 is only September 22nd at 11 a.m. And it's all of their brands. It is Transformers, G.I. Joe, Power Rangers, D&D, Avalon Hill, Magic, Star Wars, Marvel, and I always said Transformers. And, oh crap. I thought I had it all. Starting lineup. Actually, I don't even know if that's going to be there. I don't even know if starting lineup's going to be there. And that's wild. Because they teased that they're going to be making NFL figures this year, and then just radio silence on that. Which makes sense, because the starting lineup figures have sold terribly. So, a lot of Hasbro brands have either sold absolutely awfully, or have been put on a brand freeze or an ice thing. So they really have a lot of issues to work out there. And I hope that they can. And there was interesting things this week as well, which we'll kind of talk about. They put up a job listing for the brand manager of Power Rangers and G.I. Joe, which is crazy. Because G.I. Joe is, I think, if I remember correctly, and if I'm right, the most profitable 6-inch figure line that they have. even counting Marvel and Star Wars, because Marvel and Star Wars, they have to pay a pretty significant, hefty licensing fee to Disney. But G.I. Joe, they own outright. So any sales on those figures, they just get to keep. And G.I. Joe does so well. They extended the Dragonfly deadline the other night. They extended a Hasbro deadline for a HasLab by a day. They've never done that, ever. If they did that for the Rancor, it would have backed. That's how crazy that is. And that was Star Wars. But what happened is that it got so many backers on the last day that it hit the final stretch goal and it was taken off running. And the time was running out. And they wanted to be able to let people get an opportunity to still get it because they saw that the backers were going up when the final stretch goal got unlocked. So they extended it by 24 hours. And the Dragonfly it finished at 26,000 backers. It needed 10,000 backers. That's crazy. And the Hiss tank last year for them got 28,000 backers. And I am a proud backer of both of those items. I cannot wait to get the Hiss tank. I cannot wait to get the Dragonfly. And there'll be videos on those on my second channel, Too Many Topics. But this is crazy. And apparently they extended Unicron. So my bad. Maybe this was not unprecedented. My bad. But it's rare. Regardless if this was the first time or not, this is rare for them to do that. They don't usually do that. And like I said, if they did that for the Rancor, it would have at least gotten its base offering. It would not have been able to unlock the stretch goals by any, stretch of the imagination. But that's nuts. So the fact that like that can happen for G.I. Joe, but the thing is that the last time G.I. Joe had a movie in theaters, which was only 2 years ago, when Classified was still a thing, in a new thing, it bombed so badly, is nuts. So basically, Hasbro's sitting there going, why is G.I. Joe working for us so well as a toy line, but we can't figure it out as a brand, as a media franchise? And Power Rangers is kind of the same way right now, where they're ending the show and they don't really know what to do with the toy line, but they kind of know what they want to do with the show. They're just having some problems with it. So I think that's why they put out this brand new. It was on LinkedIn. It's gone now, though. They put a job listing up for a brand manager of Power Rangers and G.I. Joe. So for whoever got that job or is going to get that job or whatever, I hope that they can hear some fan feedback. I hope that they can bring some ideas to the table that can kind of help fix some things. I have a lot of ideas I'd love to share with the team if I ever got the privilege for that, but I doubt that would ever happen. It'd be fantastic, but what's great is that at least the Lightning Collection, we have things we can speculate on. We have some things we can talk about a little bit, just some little snippets, and the line is not going anywhere. It's just taking a break. And whether that comes back as Lightning Collection or it comes back as something else, it doesn't really matter. I'm still going to follow it as it is. There will always be a 6-inch Power Rangers Lightning Collection. Or there will always be a 6-inch Power Rangers figure line from Hasbro, regardless if it's called Lightning Collection, if they go back to Legacy Collection, if it's called the Power Rangers Bolt Series or whatever they call it. I don't know. Like anytime that the reboot finally happens, there will be a new line. The line will come back. There will be new toys. It will happen. And I will be there to talk to you guys about it and share my thoughts on it. But I just wanted to thank all of you so very much for the support on Lightning Fig PR on Twitter and on Instagram over the years. And of course, huge thanks to everybody's supports on Lightning Storm the last 3 years. 218 episodes. That's crazy. There's more than that, way more than that, because we had, PulseCon reaction streams. We had Power Month episodes, Power Week episodes. I did a live stream from a Starbucks, kind of outdoor, little courtyard area at MorpherCon. I did everything that I could to back this line with just all of the support that I could, and it means everything to me. I'm going to continue to support it, and that is why I launched my brand new series this past week called Lightning Aftermath, which is the official sequel to to Lightning Storm. If you haven't already seen this, Lightning Aftermath is my new series that I'll be doing on Saturdays, starting when the Lightning Storm series kind of has to end. So basically what we're going to do is for the rest of July, which obviously is just 1 week, so that's not that big of a deal. For the rest of July, there will probably still just be Lightning Storm, and there might be one Lightning Aftermath. I'm not sure if next week is going to be a Storm or an Aftermath. We'll see. But then starting in August, and especially starting in September, as we head into PulseCon and as we head towards PulseCon, and especially as we head out of PulseCon into 2024, whenever there can't be a Lightning Storm, there's going to be a Lightning Aftermath. And Lightning Aftermath is going to be a series where I focus on the community. I focus on you guys. You guys are going to be the ones that tell me what to do for Lightning Aftermath. I'm also going to use it as a series to do a bunch of retrospectives, to kind of go back and go, like I talked about, earlier in this episode, what happened with Zap? Where did they go wrong? Talk about, certain reveal events, talk about listings that didn't go anywhere. I have some fun facts. Do you guys remember the listings, SRE Pinata and LGY Camera? Well, thanks to a certain somebody, I don't know if he's still here, but he found information about what those finally were. And it's not what I would have expected. So I know what those are now. And I will share that in an episode of Lightning Aftermath. Now that we are kind of, not ending the Lightning Collection coverage on the channel, and the Lightning Collection is not ending, it's a good time to just take a break, just like Hasbro is, and just sit there and go, what happened with this line? And, what have people been able to do with this line that is just so cool and so interesting? And that's where this came in here today, or in this first episode. Deadpool Ranger on Twitter made these fantastic stands. Had to shout out, is Lightning Collection Dax out yet? There's still a chance for Dax to happen someday. We can still keep the hope alive. Here is the stand of Operation Overdrive, these fantastic 3D printed stands by Deadpool Ranger on Twitter. And if you want to check out those stands in more detail, you can check out the first episode of Lightning Aftermath, available on Toku Topics right now. And the second episode is already in development. And this is a series where in that video, you can email me at tokutopics@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me at LightningFigPR on Twitter or on Instagram to submit submissions for custom figures, for displays, for whatever you guys do that celebrates the Lightning Collection and can, expand it and keep it going. I'm going to cover that in Lightning Aftermath, as well as retrospective stuff. So without further ado there, I think I do want to go ahead and just, in case you guys didn't see it, here is the little teaser for Lightning Aftermath if you didn't see it earlier this week. All right, so that was the introduction to Lightning Aftermath, which is a series that I'm very excited to use as a sequel to Lightning Storm, and we'll see how it goes. But guys, with that is going to do it for this live episode 218 of Lightning Storm. So that's all I got. My voice is gone. It's so gone. But I really wanted to do this week. Went for nearly 2 hours. That's about what I expected. 238 people watching right now. I think we peaked at like 300 something. I saw at least like 350, or not 353, like 20 or something at some point, which is awesome. So guys, this is awesome. I'm going to go to bed. As Josh Moore just suggested, I'm very tired. It's been a very long, bad week. Personal stuff, this kind of stuff, but this was important. It felt great to talk about it to you guys, with you guys. And I'm going to also, like I said, edit this into a more proper episode of Lightning Storm to be released tonight. As a kind of more typical episode that, cuts it down to like, I don't know, 30 minutes, maybe, if that, and not 2 hours. So stay tuned for that if you guys kind of want to watch a recap or you're missing this right now. So without further ado, I'm going to bring this up here. So with that, as I always say here, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below about anything I talked about in this week's episode. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Lightning Storm. And of course, until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or LightningFigPR. And I'll see you all on Lightning Storm. It's usual lightning always strikes twice. And with that, I can finally reveal to you guys, because I'm close enough to it happening, I can officially begin teasing my big August project. And my big August project, as my voice is just dying, my big August project is the most ambitious project that I have ever done. I've been working on this project since August of 2022 in some capacity, and I've really been working on it in earnest since about April. And the only way I was able to make this happen is that I had to work on it that early. And the last couple components of it are coming in, and we're getting it all out there. So I'm officially teasing, and I won't go into specifics about this yet, but I have to go to this setup, the Toku Topic setup, the purple setup. And without further ado, I'm going to leave you guys with this. Coming in August, starting on August 1st on Toku Topics, I present to you